All right, so I thought I'd do another video today on business building. Today kind of my theme of the videos that I'm doing is on building a business. And I want to talk about an important concept with building a business that I realized that became more apparent to me as I sort of separated myself from the day-to-day operations of my main business, or what was my main business, Simple Programmer. Okay, so I'm a half owner of Simple Programmer. I started Simple Programmer, if you don't know. Okay, and my business partner, Josh, is now the CEO, and he's taking over the day-to-day operations. I'm sort of distancing myself from it. I'm still, advisor and still working, in some capacity, but I'm not working in the day-to-day because I want to do my next thing. I want to take a little bit of a break. I want to figure out, what I want to do with the rest of my life, which isn't running Simple Programmer anymore because I'm just not into the software development world anymore. Even though that was my roots, and I still like programming, but I just haven't done it, and I want to move on. I want to do something else. So, but in doing that, okay, what I discovered was, that as the single owner of the business for a long time, I didn't think clearly about making the business being a separate entity. Now, I did this from a legalistic standpoint. I created an LLC, right? And I created separate bank accounts, and I did all of that. And that's kind of the obvious stuff, right? If you're not thinking about that, that's where we could start. Is this is some of the obvious stuff most of you have probably done, which is if you start a business, make sure you create some kind of an LLC. It's worth the effort to do that. It's worth creating a separate bank account and credit card and having that, right? Okay, and get your QuickBooks account or whatever, so you have some accounting. That's fine. But let me go a little bit deeper than that, because most people think about that. But here's some of the trouble I encountered that I didn't think about, which is that what about all the online accounts? What about email? What about things like Stripe and payment processors and mailboxes, right? And a phone number, okay? Now, some of these things might not seem so important. You're like, oh, well, I'll just use my own phone number. Oh, I'll just use my own mail. It'll just send to my own mail address, right? My home mail. Or, I'll just use my own Gmail login for the logins for these accounts. But let me tell you, if you decide to step away from the business or have someone else take over it, okay, at some point, and you want some distance from it, you don't want the business stuff coming into your inbox. You don't want the business stuff coming into your mailbox or coming to your house. Those are really, really important things. Okay, and I didn't realize this. I looked at it and I'm like, okay, well, when I'm CEO and I'm running Simple Programmer, it's fine because stuff is coming to my email address at Simple Programmer. Some of it's coming to my personal email address, and and some of it's coming to my personal email, my physical mail, and whatnot. And it's not a big deal. But when I'm like, okay, I want to I don't want to see what's going on. I want to get that mental burden of Simple Programmer out of my head so I can focus on something else. And I want my business partner to be able to handle it, or whoever he has running the things. All those things start to become a problem. So, one thing to think about when you start a business, like if I were to start a new business right now, what I would absolutely do is I would absolutely, like I said, create a separate LLC. That's pretty obvious, and create a separate bank account. But I'd create a separate email address, first of all, for customer support, okay? I didn't have that for Simple Programmer, but you want people that email you not to go to your personal email address or even your personal email address at the company, right? This is important. Think about this, right? You want it to go to some kind of customer service or support at whatever your domain name is, and set up that Gmail account if you use Google Apps or however you want to do it, or you can even use the help desk. You don't even have to buy that right now, but you want to have support issues that people are going to have, or general inquiries, coming to a place that's not your personal stuff, okay, that you could hand over, that anyone could check, that doesn't have any sensitive information from it, okay? Next, you want to have a business email address for yourself that is for your personal stuff, and that's going to be just your business stuff, okay, so that you could close that down if you needed to, or you could forward your emails to someone else. But it's only the stuff that only you can handle, that's directed at you specifically, okay? And then next, you want to have, what I would do is I would make it so that I have a address, maybe that's the customer service one, or some address that I'm using for the login, right? So it might be admin at, whatever my business name is .com, my domain name, for things like Stripe. And all, think about it, like if you're going to create passwords like in LastPass, you're going to want to have, first of all, some kind of a shared like corporate LastPass account, right? Some kind of shared password manager that works at the business level, okay? And you'll have all of those logins to that email address so that you can assign that out, so you could give someone access to that, so you can control access to that, so it's not coming to your personal stuff, so that if someone needs to log in, right, or change a password, it doesn't come to your personal, or even your work email, like you need a separate entity. So I would create a separate entity. I would create a separate entity for phone, right? I would create a separate phone number, right? Whether it be renting an 800 number or using a free service like Google Voice, okay? I'd create a separate mail, right? Whether that be creating a PO box or using, like I use traveling mailbox. I've got a link to my traveling mailbox video if you're interested in that. But I would create that, okay? Separate credit card, obviously, so you can build things and not get that mixed up. Separate PayPal account. Okay, think about those things, right? A separate Stripe account. Like everything specifically for the business, you want to keep that all in the business side of it so that, you could walk away and that stuff would still function without you, or without you needing to intervene. So, those are some of the things, to think about creating, and that's not quite that straightforward, right? It's things that I didn't think about before, but they really do make a difference, right? So I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I have there. I think that's pretty much it. I think I'd say that's the main thing that we ran into. I thought there was one more thing, but it's not coming to me now. I ran into this when I was trying to extract myself here, and I'm like, okay, I've got all these different things, all these emails that are coming to me. I have to unsubscribe, I have to switch the email address on all these things, and it was a bit of a pain, right? It's a bit of a pain. So from the beginning, it would make sense to just always keep that separate, and to remember that, and to think about that, so that you don't have to go through this pain, because it's a more painful process teasing things apart, right? Rather than from the beginning, like if you think about it, again, don't invest a huge amount of money and time up front, creating all these structures on some brand new business venture. But if you're gonna create an email account, you might as well create a new one. If you're gonna create a Stripe account or a PayPal account, you might as well create a new one for the business, right? If you're gonna do these things, you might as well make sure that the login is a generic login, that the email address is, that you've got a customer service email address, that those things are separate, because you're going to have to go through that effort anyway, rather than just using your personal stuff. Otherwise, it becomes a real mess. So, all right, that is all I have for you today. Let me know if you like these business type of videos on starting up a business and whatnot, and leave a comment below on any questions that you have. And make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Click the bell so you don't miss any videos. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.